I'm Brent Leary.
Paul Greenberg.
That was like a longer windup than I usually do. It's like I'm Brent Leary. I don't
Well,
know.
you've been talking all day. That's probably why. But that way
Anyway,
takes a little more time,
yeah,
and
uh,
that's less show.
it's almost like I was checking to make sure I'm Brent Leary while I was saying I'm Brent Leary. Anyway, we are the CRM Playaz, and excuse the intrusion. It's Friday. We're talking sports.
Yeah, actually, and we got some. We got we got sort of our. I call it a couple of our regulars on, and it's regulars. We have anybody. Coming up today, we got Ricky Volante and David West from the PCL, and those of you who have met them know they're awesome. And we want to get a progress report on the PCL, and we have some other things we want to talk to them about too. But before they come on, actually, I got to say something. As bad as the NFC East is, and it is the worst.
It's pretty bad, man. It is
the
bad.
worst division in the history of football, I think. I'm actually kind of weirdly, as crazy as they drive me, I've enjoyed watching the Giants this year. I haven't missed a game. I haven't turned them off. There's just something about them that tells me they got something there and they just can't get it together. And, look, I mean, they make dumb mistakes, Daniel Jones trips, but he and he regressed a little in certain ways the last year. And then all of a sudden, the last couple games, no turnovers whatsoever for him. He literally ran the ball into 34 years. He's become, because of his last 3 games, really, he's become in a season the leading Giant quarterback rusher ever. He's eclipsed Fran Tarkenton and people like that already, right?
Well,
and
but what Fran Tarkenton? How long was he with the Giants? He wasn't there that long.
no, it's not lifetime, for a season.
Oh, for a season. Oh,
yeah, for a season.
Well, that's because Fran Tarkenton did most of his running in the backfield trying to figure out where to go. He never crossed the line of scrimmage. He just ran like 50 yards, back and forth.
Fran Tarkenton's entire history.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, and Daniel. So on that one run, Daniel Jones got more yards going north and south than Fran Tarkenton got in his career going that.
Well, I think the Giants' rushing record. I mean, it's not like the Giants have ever had a lot of rushing quarterbacks, really, but they didn't have a Randall Cunningham or anything like that. Cunningham rushed for almost 1,000 yards one year. I remember.
Yeah, 1 year. No, wait a minute. I thought didn't Eli do about 1,000 yards 1 year too?
Backward, mostly backward.
All right, but I gotta
yard loss.
I gotta show you something. Oh, by the way, first of all, let me show you this. So this is another brand new Rams hat. Very first time wearing it. A little black with the new logo.
That's slick. That one.
I kind of like this one a lot. I have to tell you. Although I do like the camouflage one with the new logo. I like that one too.
This one is like the dress hat.
Yeah. So for all of my formal attire,
exactly.
I'll wear this hat when I have to wear
when you wear a hoodie and a tie.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, like that'll happen. But all right, so let me show you. So here's who we have coming up on the show today. Of course,
nice picture.
The dynamic duo of the PCL. Now, Ricky has a very nice smile. So does David. But here's the thing, and David is in the green room. He's chilling. I don't know if he's eating any of the cronuts or not, but
if he is, he'll be on the way to the hospital shortly.
He's shaking his head. Yeah, that's exactly. So the reason that I had to show this picture is because this is the only damn picture I can find of him wearing a suit. All right. Everything else he's in his his gear. Right. So I had to look tirelessly to find one because he's a COO. He's not just a former, 15-year veteran and a world champion. He is a COO. So he's wearing the suit. So I'm going to have to ask him to get some more pictures with the suit on so we can have more.
Where was he? Was this a picture for the PCL or was this for something else he was at?
I don't think so. Ricky, he said, yeah, we'll get the full scoop when we get both him and Ricky on. I'm just saying it's time for him to get some updated pics with some from COO wear. That's all I'm gonna say.
They can sell that with the merch they have now.
That's right. All right. Well, we'll hold off until Ricky comes, and then we'll bring them both on.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we could actually ask him a couple of quick questions about the draft last night, if you want.
All right. It's okay with
If
me.
he's up for
okay
it.
with what's he?
All right. He just shrugged, so that means I'm going to bring him on. So there he is. David West,
Yes.
the COO of the Professional Collegiate League. There it is.
We're good.
I just got to ask
doing?
you. I got to ask him quick. When was this picture taken?
I took that picture intentionally for a bio, like it's an intentional biopic. Like I had to take one. So, I don't even have on pants in that picture.
That's all right.
Oh, well, we didn't really need to know that part. Yeah, okay.
I get it. Look, I own one suit, and I think it was my wedding suit, right? So that's all I got left.
I don't know, man. We're gonna have to put a request in for Ricky to say, look, you gotta let this guy get at least another picture with
We try to keep it casual, man. We try to keep it as casual as possible.
Yeah, that's cool. So how are things going?
Things are well. Despite the circumstances, been pretty hanging close to home, like everyone else. Last few months, just spending most of the day on these Zooms and different platforms like this, doing most of our meetings. Same thing with players, but again, we're just adjusting to this new reality, I guess.
Well, listen, I mean, when Ricky comes on, we want to get the full update from you guys, but Brent's been like itching to ask you draft questions. So,
man,
it's like itching.
How much did it hurt you to hear about Clay?
Yeah, that was bad. Clay's my guy. We don't want anything. Obviously, you don't want injuries to happen to people, but when it's a guy you root for, as a former teammate, a buddy. You don't want guys to deal with injuries, and he was looking forward to getting back out there this year. You just never know. And the body, they've played some long, tough, hard seasons consecutively, and I think this is his body's way of telling him, I need a break. He'll have another year of rehab and recovery. And hopefully he can get beyond this. He's still fairly young, so he'll still, be able to get back out on the floor. But we want him to be healthy, and it's just a tough blow for them because again with Clay, and then they added Wiseman. Felt like they could be right back in the mix right away.
Yeah.
But they'll still be. I think they'll still be in the thick of things. Especially they just picked up Kelly Oubre Jr., which is going to be
that was a nice pickup.
That's a nice pickup. And I think he's one of these guys where we've been looking at him for years, but he's a young kid. He's still a young kid himself, so guys like 26, 27 years old, he could, mature and thrive in that environment as well. So I still think they'll be in the thick of things, and they'll be a formidable opponent.
One quick question before we bring Ricky in, because I see him. He's in the green room. He's getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any surprises in the draft last night for you?
No, I didn't. I wasn't following it too. I mean, I watched it, but I wasn't following it too close before, so I wouldn't know who would have been a surprise. I mean, other than know some boards had Wiseman slipping, and I didn't know which way Minnesota was going to go. With the Edwards kid. I thought everybody thought they were going to take LaMelo. I'm inclined to think that they need as much energy and excitement and everything else. So I thought Minnesota would go with Ball, but I thought the draft was fun. It's going to still be, the league is going to be the same. You're going to have the same tough group of teams at the top. These young guys will come in and have some impact, but I think Wiseman's probably going into the best ready-made situation because Warriors are a championship caliber, organization, and he's needed. He's going to play right away. So I think he has the chance to really have a lot of success early.
So sad, man. I'm so sad. I literally sit here and think the Knicks aren't even part of a conversation anymore. It's like nobody even mentions them as anything.
Yeah, not even in the. Yeah.
No, they haven't been basically. Well, really, I mean, technically they haven't been since the '90s, but actually since the '70s.
Yeah, I would say that you're right with the '90s because when guys were there,
they had some great teams.
That was a great team. It just wasn't the one that was going to win it all. It was a great team, right?
Let's face it. There's this guy called Jordan who probably cheated him out at least 1 or 2 additional trips to get a shot.
You know how that is. You know how it is. If you're really good, you don't get cheated out of those trips, right? So, All right. I love them, but
let's bring in Ricky because he's sitting here. He looks like he's chomping at the bit to get in. So there he is.
Look at that.
The sporting the gear.
Both of them.
They are.
Look at this. Nice. Wow, Ricky, you're like really in black there. Wow.
It's like the Man in Black, Johnny Cash version.
I'm telling you, that is amazing. So,
all right, he's the CEO. Where did he go?
Well,
there he is. There he is. All right.
I blame camera view.
CEO of the PCL. There it is. Good to see you, man.
Good to see y'all. Thanks for having me.
I see his beard's grown out a bit since the pandemic hit.
I got to start bringing some of these comments out. So there's our buddy Sven over in Germany. Salute to all Giants fans. How about that? Okay.
That's only one of us. That's like ultimately.
And then, of course,
Bob, really, you don't want to go there.
You
really don't want to go there. He's our Patriots, resident Patriots.
Oh, hey, he's liking my Rams hat, I think. All right, Bob, finally.
Well, of course, he might be liking the stealth hats. And
that could be the case, too. Yeah, no one knows that.
So let's not underestimate this, right? You never know how that got.
Hey, Spin, if you had been watching the SAP thing I did this morning, you would have seen me because I'm not aware to wear any like Ram stuff, so I had to, anyway.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's just contractual agreement.
It's all right.
And there's Sandy, big baller brand. Oh, really? Did you really buy any big baller
brand? No, she was lying.
Just a Bruins fan. There it is. All right, guys. It's really great to catch up to you because I can't believe it's been like almost a year and a half since we were all down in Daytona Beach and like 100-degree weather.
burning
at that seed event. Yeah. So. What's new? What's been going on with the PCL?
Making a big update here.
Yeah, well, I mean, so obviously with the hats David and I are wearing, the biggest, most recent update is we rolled out the first team brand. Our Washington DC team is going to be known as the DC Stealth. So that's probably the bigged piece of news. And now we're going to start rolling out brands every month. So depending on
how'd you come up with the stealth? Just curious, out of curiosity.
So it's been one of the most fun and frustrating parts of the development of this league is the branding and the team brands, especially. It's been an outlet of creativity, but it's also been when you think about the restrictions that we had in place when we set out on naming these teams. We didn't want to have the same name as any team that plays the same sport, plays during the same season, or is a top, collegiate university. So you eliminate all of, 130 Division I or 354 Division I teams if you go by basketball, MLB, MLS, NWSL, WNBA, NBA, all also are now eliminated. And that's like 400 or 500 names. So, and there's a reason why they're being used. They're good for the most part.
Yeah. Washington football team.
Yeah. So in going through that process, what we first set out to do was like alliterative type things as has been a tradition in sports. So because it's DC, we looked at names that started with D. We had talked about like the Defenders and Dragons and things like that. But then I wanted to take a more nuanced approach to looking into each city and finding something relevant to that city. And so going through that, DC's sort of ties to like espionage and things along those lines, we felt like it was a good fit. And then obviously there's a lot of aerial imagery involved in basketball because they're particularly good at flying through the air. So the stealth jet being included in the brand was part of it. And then we really wanted it to be all black. So we wanted it to be monochromatic and just being tapping into different shades of black. So yeah.
I didn't even plan this. I just wore black today. That's pretty cool. Hey, our buddy Bob asks if you know Tony Tomzik. Do you know Tony Tomzik?
Not off the top of my head. Out curious. Of context, yeah.
What, Bob? Can you tell us why he should know who this person is? I don't know who that is. I don't know. Let us know why he should know.
So now you've eliminated the stealth as a name, and you've got how many more teams to name? Several.
So we have 7 more teams. 4 of the brands are totally done. And as I was starting to say, depending on how high I sit up, you might get a peek at the one we're releasing next month. So we've got 3 more brands totally done, and the rest of the names are already picked out. So we've gotten that part of it done, and we're working through with our designer to build out the remaining 4 brands now.
Wow.
You don't want to break any news, man? Breaking
Gotta get the trademarks and stuff filed first.
The lawyer in you speaks, right? The smart lawyer in you speaks. So I know, David, you've been involved with a lot of the recruitment of people, right, to support it. So how's that going, and what's it look like? Because last time it was, I know you had several, but I know there's been an additional number of people since then. So how's that going?
Yeah, it continues to go well. We're continuing to get a name. We're getting a lot of outreach now in terms of, players seeking other options. We're looking for, continue to build out our coaching and our coaching staffs. This is another big step for us, and making sure we hire the right people to lead these basketball teams. But with COVID and the conditions of COVID, I think a lot of people sort of saw the reality and the uncertainty, particularly when college basketball was in limbo. So we've seen a continual and gradual uptick in terms of people and players and families looking at us as a legitimate option.
So what about the operating model itself? I mean, just how you're going to do things, play, everything else, got to presume COVID's going to go on for another, let's call it till April, May, before it starts even really easing up at all. And then, of course, a lot of people are going to be afraid to go out anyway, regardless of whether they're vaccinated or not, because it's a lot of after effects. So presuming that somewhere in the course of all of that, you either launch or you get close to launch or something, you begin to start moving forward. How are you going to actually operate kind of on the day-to-day scale? I mean, how are you going to play? Where are you going to play? How are you going to play? What's the plan?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. This is probably the biggest place that's changed since the last time we spoke. Originally, we were going to have 8 teams, 8 cities, ranging from Philly to Atlanta. However, obviously COVID, I don't think it allows for sports teams to safely travel. I know that some leagues have tried to do it with mixed results, mostly bad results. And so as a result of that, we've decided that our first season next summer is going to be played in 1 venue as opposed to 8. So we are trying to have that venue located within our geographic footprint, but coupling 1 venue along with the fact that we're also probably not going to be able to introduce fans into the stands safely, it becomes hyper focused on the digital product. So being within our geographic footprint isn't necessarily a requirement now for this first season, though obviously there's a preference there. So we've looked at sites in Virginia, in Maryland, Ohio, Texas, Nevada, but really it's going to depend on where we're at from a national health and safety standpoint and how that develops over the course of the next few months.
Have you thought about, just the thought popping into my head, but have you thought about like the NBA fan model, meaning the virtual fan thing? It's really a matter of talking to Microsoft about it and Teams, basically Microsoft Teams and doing all the things they're doing. It's not, I know, who is it? Brent, who was it who signed it? Also signed it was the NHL. It was another league that actually signed an agreement with Microsoft for the same thing. And obviously it worked, right? I mean, it worked really well in a lot of ways, and something that they might be perfectly willing to consider. I mean, have you thought about just the model of a virtual fan?
Yeah. And a mutual friend of ours and I have had a few conversations on the subject. And I think that it's definitely going to be something that we try to introduce, especially in this first season. I mean, what the beauty of this is, there's obviously a tension between gimmicky and the willingness to try new things. And we don't want to fall into the gimmicky side of the spectrum. However, trying out some things that the established leagues may not be willing to do, but could add value to the product is a space where we think, particularly with technology partners, is going to provide some value to us and them and the fans.
Makes sense.
Hey,
I mean,
just a quick, I just want to throw this in because this is who Bob was talking about. And I think it also is, I guess that's his father-in-law too.
Might be a person to talk to then.
There you go. All right. Just had to get that out of the way. All right.
There you go. Making the intros on live on stage.
Yeah.
Are you doing like a NBA like bubble kind of thing here?
Similar. David and I have talked to our respective people that have pulled off the NBA bubble, but also other closed environments. I prefer closed environment to bubble. The closed environment and this also narrows the venues that we're looking at. We are trying to have a venue that's in very close proximity to hotels so that we can have our play or some form of like intermediate term living so that we can have our players there and then have them safely moved back and forth from where they're staying to the arena or venue more broadly. But obviously we don't have $150 million burning in our pocket to go buy Disneyland and then add a bunch of amenities to it.
Actually, maybe probably get a lot cheaper right now. See what we can do. So, all right. So let's project ahead, okay, to end of next year. Well, actually, say the beginning of 2022. So we have to assume some things are settled and, in the process, presume as much as you want or as little as you want on that. But where do you see yourself? Well, where do you want to be by that time? Not necessarily where you see yourselves being, but where do you want to be?
So we would be at the finish of our inaugural, what'd you call it? Safe environment or closed environment. We will have completed that. We will be recruiting and hopefully preparing for our second year, but more closely resembling our original model, which is, teams in cities, with the hope or the expectation that COVID and we've got a better grasp on this and we can have fans in venues. And the hope also is that we're sort of back to a normalized sports schedule where there's football season, the clear college season, and then the window that we would play in would be clear again, for us.
That last point I think is a big one too, because part of why we delayed from 2020 to 2021 was to avoid the Olympics, and specifically we had potential broadcast partners asking us to do that, and so we delayed, and then the Olympics got delayed and is now going to happen next summer, and the NBA season is going to run through July instead of through June. So that's also part of going back to how things have changed. Even our season format is going to look different in this first year than in the normal scope of what we want to do, because having a group of 96 18 to 23 year olds living in a confined space for a period of 4 to 4.5 months probably won't work out too well. And, being the pro athlete league, the last thing we need to be is, ruling with an iron fist and punishing players left and right. So we are going to shorten the season. It is only going to be like an 8 to 10 week deal now, as opposed to, the original planned.
We're gonna have to get him a new webcam here, man.
He already got one, as far as I know.
This is Paul's. This is Paul's that's giving me all this trouble.
That's why he gave you that one, not the one.
So I've switched over to my webcam now, so that won't happen again. But yeah, so it's the shortened format is going to hopefully soften the blow and the overlap between the end of the NBA season, the playoffs, more particularly, and the Olympics. So all of that's going to look different. So I think that last point David made is a critical one.
How hard has it been to kind of keep the momentum going with so many moving components and having to move things back? How difficult has it been to kind of keep the league moving forward even while all these things are happening?
I mean, it's not easy. If it was easy, somebody else would have already done what we're doing. Because there's certainly, I think, a very viable business opportunity. Like, obviously, there's the opportunity to do a lot of good, which is what drew most of us to this. But at the same time, there has to be an economic opportunity too, or else you're not going to raise the necessary capital. And I think there's a very legitimate economic opportunity here. But that said, again, there are challenges for an upstart league always.
Right.
And when you throw in COVID and you throw in state and federal legislation and you throw in the lawsuits that the NCAA is facing and all these other things, it just makes it that much more interesting. So it's takes a lot of self-confidence for us as a team, both individually and within the team itself. Yeah, a lot of confidence.
Well, you do have, look, I mean, one thing to your point is there is some obvious economic benefit to it if people, so on the one hand, the social value is enormous. And it basically, people who wouldn't have had a chance otherwise are getting even considerably more than a chance, actually. They're actually getting the future, they're getting the potential for an actual life. Okay. And so that's one thing. The economic, obviously, it's a league. People buy tickets. We've got this right now, right? We've got your merch up there, right? So I'm about to buy a T-shirt, although it depends on the size being available, of course.
Your size will be available.
Well, I had someone send me literally an all blacks T-shirt as out of the blue, a guy from Australia, and it was medium, and that is not my size. My size is actually large. It's not like that excessively different, but I don't want to overstate my bigness. But right. So, but the other side is the economic value is there. I think, because obviously I'm looking at your site a lot, and I do, I keep track of what you guys are up to, and you've been thrown a lot of curveballs, by the pandemic. Is obviously that pretty much was a 62 mile an hour knuckleball that very few people can hit, right? So, but that doesn't diminish the value in any way. And it's fascinating to me, and without going into detail, you guys know it from everyone on the call here knows it, but opportunities pop up sometimes that you don't know where they're going to go, but they pop up. Okay. And in your case, you've got a lot of people who like what you're doing. If to be perfectly honest, if I were you, I would figure out a way to organize some of the, let's say, lesser names, but really valuable people into something resembling a community. I actually was thinking about that, and I'm not going to get into it here, this show, right? But but it is something that you guys could do. There's real grassroots interest in things like, I'm not going to say you per se, because a lot of people don't know you yet, but like you, things like what you do. There's real interest in that kind of thing out there. And I could literally mention that kind of thing to anyone. Typically I do mention you, but if without your name, let's just say, and somebody would be interested in, yeah, that sounds great, but what do you do? Right. So I know how much it does take a lot of confidence to continue on, because it looks like you're slogging against a lot of things, but the reality is your opportunity is fantastic at the same time. And so, I personally don't lose sight of that. And anyone who listens to us, even when you guys are on the show, but we do talk about you, over, at times, to make sure that they hear it, right? Because the more people hear, the more they're going to get interested over time. So, I think you're doing a great thing, really.
Yeah, and most of the time that we talk about them, it's good. Most of the time.
No, don't. So, do you have time to just watch sports? Just lean back and take it easy and watch it for enjoyment.
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Well, you guys would seem nonstop on PCL, so I was just kind of wondering.
Well, I will. There is a carve out. I can't watch, and I know that David's the same. I can't watch college sports anymore.
Yeah, I struggle.
And any at
Wow,
all?
really?
Really?
For me, it's really college football. I used to be a massive college football fan, but just, again, being a part of the PCL, learning more intricately about what's really going on behind the scenes. I can't listen to, if I'm watching the game, it's on mute. I just don't want to support the whole, everything going on in the background. So it's very hard to watch it. I will say, though, that national championship comes around, I just have to grin and bear.
Yeah.
That's pretty fascinating. Just that it's so much in you now that it's you can't even enjoy what you see on the field because of all the stuff that's happening off the field. That's really interesting.
Really bad. And there was I don't know if it was an article last year or we were sharing. There was something internally that was being shared for about 2 weeks. And every time this thing popped up, somebody added to the money this guy was making, and for games, the athletic director got this, the booster program got this,
and the kids got nothing.
Nothing, right? Right.
Yeah. I guess it's funny because I went to Northwestern, so obviously they're having a year that's literally the reverse of the year that everybody expected them to have, and so I do watch them, but it's and that's literally, I watch other games too, but then every time I say read The Athletic or something like that, there's an article, to your point, David, that basically says, as far as they were concerned, COVID, so what? We're going to have the season.
Big Ten were the only two conferences that had threatened boycotts from the players if they didn't introduce revenue sharing and heightened protections for athletes during the pandemic. And as soon as those demands came out, going back to our internal group text, I told the team, I said, well, if I'm Larry Scott and I'm Kevin Warren, I'm delaying the season. Because at that point, the athletes aren't going to stick together. And I don't say that to be mean to the athletes. It's just reality. Organizing, Paul, organizing.
Kids.
Yeah, they're kids, but organizing and unionizing is difficult in any setting. But then when you introduce athletes that are only there for a couple of years, it makes it that much harder. And sure enough, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten delayed. They delayed long enough that the players then were desperately chanting for the seasons to come back.
That's right.
Well, the QB for Ohio State started that petition and got
Justin Fields.
Yeah, that's right. He used to be down here at the Dogs. But yeah, he started 100,000 people that signed that thing.
Yeah, and then
they wanted to play.
The linebacker, I'm forgetting his name now, at Ohio State, that authored the letter on behalf of the Ohio State athletes saying, like, Ohio State's doing things the best that can possibly be done. We deserve to have a season. But the problem with that mentality is Ohio State can do everything in the world and have a huge budget. But do you trust Maryland? Because I don't. They literally killed one of their players. Why would you care? Why would you trust Maryland? So, and sure enough, the Ohio State Maryland game gets canceled because Maryland has an outbreak. So, you know, you're only as safe as the least effective program in the conference.
Well, and yeah, so really, wow. Now I'm not going to be watching football. You ruined my Saturday.
Look, I live in SEC country. It's against religion down here not to watch college football. I gotta do something. Jeez, you guys make me feel bad.
English Premier League, man. English Premier League.
Really?
I don't know.
Has it come to that?
Right there, man. I can't go there.
I'm not ready for that.
And I've been to the Arsenal stadiums. I mean, I've met all the business guys.
Well, that was your first problem. If Arsenal was your introduction to the EPL, then you were doomed from the start.
No, let's see. Wow, you're an actual fan.
I am.
You're hardcore because you're already dissing Arsenal before I said a word. Like that's real. See, if you're an American who's talking about, you know, football there, you would never say anything like that, right? You don't care that much, right?
Well, plus, to loop in Brent into this, Arsenal's owned by the Cronkies. So you know. And you know, Arsenal was so desperate for money that they laid off their mascot.
Damn, it's pretty low when you're laying off a mascot.
You're Chelsea, Man City, Man
U. There you go. Yeah, keep going. Go skip past.
I knew I'd get there eventually. Right? Yeah, but so you know what? The only team I ever rooted for, the Norwich City Canaries.
Hey,
which is a team that literally fluctuates between Premier and Division all the time, and the only reason I rooted for them is the CIO of the Norwich City Canaries back in 2003 got a hold of me, told me about their business model, and I was so blown away by what they were doing that I wish I had it. Maybe while you guys are talking, I'll go find it, but I have a jersey that says Greenberg from them on the back, right? And I was so blown away by what they're doing. They had and Man U used to go to Norwich City just for the business model to understand. The Norwich City Canaries are owned by a telly chef. A telly chef, I can't think of her name now. They actually figured out they had 7 businesses, and that they could compete with anybody, right? In catering, in events, in merchandise, of course. They would get, you know who their competition was? They're so far out there. They were competing with when they weren't succeeding. I'm not joking. Farmers who worked on Sunday. That's what they were competing with, literally. It's a 16,000 seat venue. They were getting like 4,000. Now they're sold out for years in advance. Their businesses are wildly successful. It's just they're not that good, right? But they're always up and down.
Captive audience, though.
But the people absolutely love Delia Smith. That's her name. She was like Julia Child in the UK, right? But that business model like blew me away. And this guy, Mario Zambas, went on to run Sports City and CIO of Sports City in Qatar, right? About 2 years later. So, but that's the only reason I root for any Premier League, any football team outside of the U.S.
Next time I'll wear my United jersey if you guys have us on again.
Oh, by the way, talking like this, it might not come back. Bob Fagel, what is your team of choice? What is your favorite team?
What the hell is that even of what?
I don't know. This is Bob we're talking about here. I don't know.
He's always sort of vague. So
yeah, for me, I mean Manchester United, and then the Cleveland baseball team. Unfortunately, the Cleveland Browns and the Cavs.
Aren't you feeling a little more optimistic about the Browns this year? I mean, a little maybe.
It's the Browns. They'll find a way.
Plus, your quarterback's really good on commercials.
Yeah, he's better in commercials than he's on the field.
He's really funny. He has a career as a comedian afterwards. He does. All right, David, what's all your look? You're really in a bind. What your favorite NBA?
Yeah, I support any team that I played for.
Easy way out. Take the easy way out.
And at the NBA, those are my teams.
Who do you support when you're watching a game where both teams are teams you played for?
I look for personal affiliation. So if I know the trainer, if I know a former teammate, or I know somebody that knows somebody, that's how. That's how I root for like random NBA teams. If I know,
you know what's going to happen though when you're about 60 years old watching, you're not going to know anybody.
Nobody, right?
Then what are you going to do?
Right.
Well, maybe it's the grandson of the ball boy that was
there you go. It will be something in that mix.
So wait, if New Orleans plays the Warriors, what do you do?
I win either way.
Wow.
Enjoy the game.
Yeah, I tell both, hey man, really pulling for you to win. And whoever wins,
he says the same thing to his other. Hey man, I'm really pulling for you to win.
He doesn't even go glasses half empty. Glasses completely full approach to life, right? Outside of the NBA, wait. Outside,
didn't he grow up a Cowboy fan though? Didn't you grow up a Cowboy fan?
Who?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
No way.
I don't remember that.
That is
so okay.
He's from
NFL, baseball. Who's the other one?
So baseball. I've been a Yankee fan. I've been a Yankee fan my whole life.
I actually knew that. I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah, I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey. And then football. So I used to be a huge Detroit Lions fan, right? But
Barry Sanders, is that why? Or?
There you go, Barry Sanders.
All right.
And then I gave them another chance with Calvin Johnson, and they drove both of those all-time greats into retirement. And I retired being a Detroit Lions fan at that moment. I'm serious. I was a huge, like, out of place because I was growing up in the Northeast, so everybody wanted me to root for the Giants or the Jets or the Patriots. And I love Barry Sanders. And I just used to like this, the underdog thing with him every year. Terrible offensive line, no quarterback, and he found a way to be great. But when they did that to Calvin Johnson, that
was sad.
Anybody substitute? Or you just too heartbroken?
Nope. And I'm gonna tell you, the Giants. So Dexter Lawrence, right? The big defensive tackle. Yeah. So he played for me basketball. I've known Dexter since he was like 12 or 13 years old. He was on our AU basketball team. And so Dexter is the only thing that's kind of because I will make sure, like, I want him to do well. And so I want him to be in environments where, he's doing well. So I'm not there yet, but I am pulling for Dexter, and he happens to play for the Giants.
So I have to literally talk to Joe Judge and get. I hate him. I'm not even gonna say his name to GM. But no, I for whatever reason, as bad as the Giants have been, there's something compelling about them even now, right? Even this year, there's something about them that tells you there's something good coming up here. I mean, somehow we've managed to actually have a decent offense, not great, decent. Our backfield is actually surprisingly good.
Right.
Awful for years, right? And our offensive line still, got a long way to go. Our defensive line is okay, but nothing special. Let's say it's better at defending against rushing than pass rushing itself. But it's the players, there's a fair amount of them who just got their heart in it, right? And they're really trying, like Willie, like Gallman, right? That guy, I just love him because he constantly is making that second effort. I mean, and somehow we're managing to pull 180, 200 yards a game rushing, which is astounding without Barkley, right? And we're still managing to do it. and I don't even know how we're doing it. And then every now and then, Daniel Jones like makes you feel good about him. Oh, it's accurate when he's not dropping something. You know, he certainly could be. He's a great running back, right? I mean, the guy, you know, so there's something like so compelling about the team that I can't not watch them. I as much as they frustrate me, have the worst record in the NFL in the last 5 years, from what I've heard. I still watch them. And now I have another personal interest because you're buddy, right? So that's it.
Paul, what's the over or under then on Myles Garrett having 3.5 sacks against the Giants when the Browns and the Giants play each other?
It doesn't even matter.
There will be no Daniel Jones after that game.
No, I don't worry too much. Daniel Jones is a big boy. I mean, this guy is not a small guy. He's 6'5", and he weighs like 240. He's a quarterback.
Myles Garrett ran down Deshaun Watson.
Oh, I'm not saying fast. Well, but Daniel Jones, when he did that 80-yard thing where he tripped, right? That one. You know what? They said he was going at 22.19 or something at that point.
His top speed.
Really? Yeah, his top speed was like 22.19, something like that. So that's fast. Right?
Really that is fast.
But I will say this. I'll say this. You guys, there is hope for you guys. There's a lot of good reason for happy feelings. You're in the NFC East. You could win like 5 games and win the division.
That's okay.
Being in the Pee Wee division of the NFL helps.
No, it's not even that. I don't see. Wow, you're a hardcore Browns fan. That has to be bad.
The AFC North, man. We've got the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Browns are pretending to be a competing team right now. So.
Wow, you're also one of those bad hardcore fans. Like you already prepared for total disappointment, so you trash talk your own team.
Man.
Well, don't they your own team? I might get screaming at my TV set or something, but I would never trash talk a team I rooted for.
What do you call that place? The tier factory or something like that?
I have the shirt actually. Factory of Sadness.
I mean, you have one of the best traditions, and you have the best player in the history of the NFL played for you,
Jim Brown. Of course, that was about 60 years ago, but
doesn't matter. But he was the best player in the history of the NFL, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
I mean,
at that point,
the last time the Browns won the championship, it wasn't even the Super Bowl. So,
okay.
Wait a minute, the Browns haven't even been to the Super Bowl, right?
That is correct. That's right. 64, they won the AFL football championship or whatever it was then, AFL championship. But they've never even been to the Super Bowl.
AFL
or
AFC? No, Browns were in
the division
NFL
championship. Or
no. I mean pre-merger, pre-merger,
That was called
NFL.
NFL championship.
Well, I would normally have a little bit of pity for you being a Browns fan, but you guys beat us in the 1950 NFL championship game, so I don't care.
True.
Really. So,
David, Brent's kind of like you because he grew up in Delaware and rooting for the Rams, which of course makes literally no sense either. But
Virginia rooting for Cleveland teams. That made for a great time in high school.
I'm the only one who's like, I'm the only one who's actually aligned with where I grew up.
Bunch of misfits over here. Let me ask, get kind of back on track a little bit. All right, so we've been through like seasons. The NBA has had their season. The NFL is in the midst of their season. Are you seeing anything that you could pick up from some of these leagues that are doing unique things because of what's going on? They're like experimenting on stuff. Like Paul mentioned, the way that they have the fans, the virtual fans, or when we talked to the president of the San Jose Sharks, they had experimented with Twitch and creating an EA Sports team that allowed their fans to kind of be integrated into the experience of playing, like having the announcer announce their name and they can put hook up a jersey and actually integrate it into the experience. What are the things that you're seeing the other leagues do that you think might be something that you guys could replicate?
Yeah. Also, shout out to Charlie Shin, because I think the MLS did a deal with EA Sports where the fans specifically of MLS teams got integrated into FIFA. But as far as what we've been able to learn, certainly been able to pick up on a number of things. I think it's more like safety logistics that we've picked up on, like the MLS, the way that they coordinate their teams off in hotels, because they actually did have a team contract COVID during the Challenge Cup. But because of the way, I think it was the Nashville team, but because of the way that they had the teams, separated within the hotels, like it didn't throw off the whole thing, that they could basically just drop a team from the cup if there was a COVID outbreak. So like those sorts of details about how to, even in a closed environment, pull off a successful event or season, I think have been hugely helpful for us, because the only way the PCL totally fails in year one is if we have an outbreak and then have to cancel the remainder of the event or of the season.
So do you have well, actually, so this is another thought, but you have effectively, you have a lot of, I'll call it, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, but you have a lot of, you have a number of, like, I'll call them pre-fans, right? Meaning fans of what you're doing. So at the time you start doing it, they'll start rooting, in effect, right? One way or the other, but they're fans of the action, what you're doing with the league. There might be some things you could do around involving some of those guys into just helping you brainstorm on some things too. I mean, there's basically it's just it's one of, this is more going to kind of stuff we've been talking about on some of our other stuff, but we're looking at kind of how do you raise the level of interactivity, now that we're all in this kind of universe, and how do you actually raise the level? And you remember the analogy I've been using, and this is actually kind of where it goes, is remember the Bruce Springsteen video, Dancing in the Dark, where he pulls Courtney Cox out of the audience and brings her onto the stage? That's kind of what you got to do, right? In other words, the idea is they're no longer just commenters off to the side, but they're actually brought directly into the show. And if you look at it from history, I mean, Living Theater's been doing that for 50 years. So that's the whole idea of it. The audience becomes a participant in the play, right? But that's actually a legitimate thing. Like one of the things we've done on this very show is, when Brent and I just kind of riffing on sports every now and then, and we don't have anybody on, we've actually, some of the people who are commenting now, some of the people you saw there, we might say there's a good comment stream going, so we send them the URL to the show, and then we literally pull them into the show and have them start talking with us, and they become part of the show. But having them in effect become part of the show, you guys really have so much. It's like you can see the possibilities just right in front of your face. Really, it's like right there, right? And it's just a matter of, I think it would be nice to kind of aggregate some of the people who are, they're not going to be active with you at the level of, say, your board of advisors or anything like that, but would be interested in doing something to help you proceed, because that's how things happen anyway. So again, it's just another thought, but I'm pretty sure you've got numerous pre-fans. I'm just calling them that because the league hasn't launched, but when they'll all find their teams. Like I already know, you're not having a New York team, if I remember right.
Correct.
Right. So I'm pretty much going to be DC Stealth fan. That's it. That's where I live. Where I live.
Right.
Right. That's all I can do. It's kind of like, right. I could root for Richmond.
Yeah.
Because I know. Well, yeah, but who's going to be the commissioner? That's what I want to know.
Commissioner
of the league.
I mean, you're looking at him.
You're the CEO. That's not a commissioner.
No. I mean, you're the other screen, the other quarter of the screen.
David. Oh, okay. Well, see, now there's a Raleigh team, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to be impartial, my friend?
Man.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll be fine.
So the rumor is just a rumor. I heard like Dennis Rodman was going to be the.
Yeah, we might get somebody like that.
Yeah,
add some spice to this thing.
That would be pretty awesome.
Sugar and spice and everything.
Right.
Nice on that one. Yeah.
Well, all right.
Got to wrap it up.
One
I guess,
last
huh?
thing. Yeah, one last thing though. One last thing. So, all right. So you're at the point now where you've got a lot of things in place, and what's literally, and I do mean take this literally, the next thing of major note that you have to put in place besides, getting $150 million or something like that. But besides anything financial, besides financial, what would be literally the next significant thing that you have to do that you either haven't started yet or have just begun?
Well, I'll go from my side. I'll say would probably be landing the commitment of a big time player. Coupled with, if we were able to steal a coach from someplace that that would be, just for me, those would be the two areas that we would be looking at in terms of big steps for us.
Okay, Ricky.
Yeah, player is a critical one. But we've started on this. We do have one of our coaching staffs in place. Continuing to build on that, I think, is critical, because for David and I to be able to completely lay out the opportunity to an athlete, a critical part is who you're going to play for.
Right.
So I think that's at the forefront of both of our minds is filling out the rest of these staffs so that David can then go and get that first player commitment.
Okay. Right.
Where does the need to have some kind of a media partner, be it TV or streaming, where does that fit into it?
Yeah, of course, that's a critical factor, both from a marketing exposure standpoint, but also from a revenue business standpoint. We've pushed that ball probably as far forward as we can without the players already being in. There's a lot of chicken and egg situations for us, but we're confident about where we sit and where we've positioned ourselves to both traditional cable providers or cable outlets, but also OTT digital-based companies as well. I think we're going to have a team league-friendly deal there. It's just a matter of getting the talent so that they can totally assess the situation.
All right. So how do people get a hold of you guys? What do we do? What do they do?
ThePCLeague.com is the website. Twitter, we've got at @the_PC League, and Instagram's @the PC League. And if you go to the contact page on the PCL website, we've got our contact us and press inquiries and all those various email aliases available.
Well, we're not only pulling for you, but we'll also push for you, meaning we'll work at it. So we promise you that.
Hey, you guys don't have a Boston team right in the works right now, right?
Yeah, I'll just run through it real quick. It's Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Richmond, Norfolk, Virginia, Raleigh and Charlotte, North Carolina, and Atlanta to start. Boston and the New York area are certainly in the long-term plan when we get to full steady state, which our goal is to have 24 teams when this is all said and done. So that's certainly in the plans, but not in the immediate future.
There'll be a clutch of teams in that Northeast.
Yeah.
Maybe a team in
Brent's
Vermont.
actually looking for an LA team.
I'm happy with Atlanta for that. But just to make sure I got it right, Bob, that means no Boston team right now. Okay, just want to make sure you got that.
The Atlanta, Brent, I will tell you the Atlanta team name. We haven't. That's one of the four we have not done yet as far as the brand goes. But the team name, it's going to be very nice.
Well, if you need any consultation to help with that, I'm here for you guys. So I'll just leave it at that, man.
I think you will be proud to wear our Atlanta gear when we get there.
The Atlanta Rams?
Hey.
That's on the VCU Rams. That's on the no list.
Come on, man. You could let that one slide.
Hey, David, do you think you can work the Yankees in there somewhere? Somehow?
I don't
Oh,
think
man.
no, we can't go to court over that stuff.
Yeah, no, you know what? The one thing we can be certain of is you would be if it was the Yankees.
They gonna come right
Oh,
after.
I got
They
one more
don't-
thing
they don't-
I got one more thing to take up with Ricky. Let me
Oh,
because
goodness.
we had this conversation now. We were able to find a lot of really great professional pictures of you. So I had to pick one. Now, David, that's the only one I could find with him looking like a COO, kind of dressed like that. Do you think it's time for him to maybe get a couple of updated pictures?
I like that picture.
I mean, it's a great picture. Don't get me wrong or nothing, but that's the only damn one I can find with you.
No, he
that.
likes it because he never has to wear a suit again. As a result.
All
He's
right,
got the chin strap's the right length. Yeah, you can go there.
David, listen, man. No, I'm there with you on suits.
All right.
So
I thought I'd try. I just
bar
Other
mitzvah,
than that.
that's last time.
that's it.
My personal pick for my best pick is actually from the panel that you moderated, Brent. The last time we saw each other, not the last time we saw each other in person because we saw each other in Atlanta, but out in Half Moon Bay.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's right. That was a good.
Yeah.
That was a good pick.
Yeah. Well, Brent, next time we bring it up,
I'll have to find that. Yeah, we'll get it from Ray. We'll get that one from Ray.
Oh no, it should be on our site.
Oh,
He's using it already.
That's what I use. Period.
Oh, there it is. All right. Well, that's good.
When a
to
good
know.
picture happens, you got to keep using it.
That's right.
you
Stick with David.
just like David does. Right?
There you go.
We'll send you
Hey.
over to Man U, Ricky. On Man U.
Well, hey, this has been really great to catch up and
I know. Miss you.
see what
guys.
y'all are up to, and also just enjoy the company and you guys, laughing and finding out how big a fan, a Dallas Cowboy fan, David really is.
Yeah, right.
No, but seriously, this has been fun. We gotta keep up with you guys and see what you guys are up to. So we look forward to.
If you have, by the way, since we do actually talk about news and things on the show, if you have stuff you want to just put out here to us, we'll just get it out. So just get it to us.
Well, next Team Brand's coming the week of December 7th. I think we're dropping it on either the 8th or the 9th. So I'll be sure you guys get it then.
I'm glad you said you were dropping it on the 8th or the 9th and not the 7th, because you don't want to drop anything on the December 7th. If you know
That's
what I'm
true.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No, we're not dropping anything on December 7th. But on the 8th or the 9th, that brand is coming. And we also should be announcing our first coaching staff before that too. So I'll be sure to pass that note along to you guys.
We'll get it right out there.
What city will that brand be?
That will be our Charlotte team is coming next.
All right.
And David named it. So I'm going to throw that one out there. David named that one.
Wow.
In fact, it was almost
David,
the requirement when he came in
behind this.
Yeah.
David, no matter what's said about it, you're right there with it, right, David?
Mhm.
You're in. This is it. Confident.
Did you do the design too? Are you doing design work too?
No. I know my lane, man.
When we brought David on
Why
board,
you're Dan Miller's favorite?
yeah, I'm not going to say the team name, but he was like, this name that if we have a team there, that is what the name has to be. Like that was one of the very first things we talked about when he came
It was
on
written
board.
into his contract.
I know the one name it isn't though. Hornets. So we're good.
Nor the Bobcats. It's also not the
Right,
Bobcats.
or the Bobcats. That's
I know it wasn't gonna be that. Amazing. All right, hey, this has been great, guys. Thanks again. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we definitely want to keep up and see what you're all up to in the upcoming months. So let's do it. Let's keep
Absolutely.
it up.
Love having you.
Appreciate
All
it,
right,
guys.
guys.
Thanks,
You
guys.
All right,
rock.
take
you.
care.
See ya.
All right, that was fun.
That was a blast, actually. It really was.
I just love being able to needle a professional athlete about the team he didn't like when he was growing up.
He obviously hates Dallas.
He hates the Cowboys probably as
Yeah.
much as I do, so that's a good thing. Almost
I'm
as
not
much as I
sure.
hate the Patriots.
No,
that much.
No.
Bob.
No.
That was a nice way to end the week, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was really good, and it was nice to catch up with those guys again. They're great guys, both of them.
Absolutely.
And I do think they've got the pot. You know, it's tough. They have such a tough slog ahead because COVID really is what throws the wrench into their plans.
Yeah, that's it's just got to make it so much harder because the further you have to push it out, the harder it is to keep it together. But I think they can do it.
Oh, I do too. And ultimately with them, it really just boils down to traction and dollars. Really, that's what it boils down to. All of this, and as Ricky said, it's a lot of chicken and egg stuff you got to deal with in this, so it makes it a little hard. But it's doable because on the one hand, is people want they can do good. There's economic opportunity, and it takes let's call it a slightly visionary investor to understand that, but there are those, and I think they'll get what they need financially, and I do think they'll get the popular support. I mean, the reason I was throwing out all those things there is because they were pretty much coming to my mind as I said them, because I think there's this underlying layer of, one of the things with them is they have a ton of celebrity support. They really do. It's like pretty substantial, and it's some real heavy duty folks. Hey, Peter.
Hey, it's great that you said hello. You're saying hello right when we're about to say goodbye, but we're glad that you got it in there, man. That's great. I owe you a email because we need to set up a time to talk. I know we've been trying to do that for a while, but
so
anyway,
the net with them is just those underlying fans. There are fans out there of theirs, and there's certainly people would become fans if they understood the PCL a little more. And that's Wendell Haskins is their CMO, and he'll take care of all that.
We had him on early on, right?
Yeah, they have another good guy. I'm blocking his name tomorrow. We probably should have on too. Is another guy they brought on. We bring him on at another point.
Well, in the meantime, it was a good way to end the week, and we got a short week coming up next week with Thanksgiving, or do we? Do we know yet?
No. Well, yeah, we'll let you know either next week or the week after whether we were on or not.
And on that note, Brent Leary,
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Playaz, and we are going to end this on a interesting note.